Welcome to the Italo Zazen Art Channel. I'll be discussing in this video some of the processes and developments within one of my artworks, and that's introduced with the philosophical principles that underlie the artwork and concluded with the metaphysics or some very general principles that really go beyond what the artwork's about, but what might be entailed with my general art practice. It will be to do with personal, strong intentional agency and the flow of time, whereas the other side will look at more cultural tropes. It will have more soft intentional agency. So where I'm up to here is sort of this sort of sky blue to a liquidy ink blue. The acrylic gouache has been placed on here, so this is an acrylic ink. And my aim is just to sort of smudge it in there. Well, there's a glossiness to the ink. The thing about this is I can smudge it out, like if I feel it's, here it is, I'm using the back end of this. If it's looking a little too contrived, there we go. Sort of, that's probably what I'm looking for a bit more. The layers starting to actually splinter off. So this is the kind of dry tropics feel by chance and intentionality. It's a bit of both. I had a sense where I was going, wasn't sure how the resin would have reacted to the sun as it did with the paints and I mixed in. And it's a clear casting resin and it's starting to sort of crack in places. And that's, you know, suiting the aesthetic or the style. So now I can build onto that too, and that's one of the virtues of using a fiberglass board that's been constructed, although I have had to put steel in here to give it some strength, otherwise it would be too flexible. It's really possible to really push the medium and push what you're putting on there. Like it can crack, splinter. This is like thick layers of the same stuff in the sense that I'd put and this is a very recent edition. Now I'm able to actually see some light peering through, which can be annoying. As some of the fiberglass, the fibers are actually exposed and light can merge through here. There actually is work on the other side, and once I put some extra layers of whatever on there, then obviously it will mitigate any light pushing through. Yeah, like this crayon here, that's quite a different look again. And I will have to put some sealant over that, because it's prone to being rubbed off, and so it wouldn't stand that well if I wanted to keep this sort of image here on the side. There's some little white spots here that were probably from the clay, so I had placed clay on the edge and then I covered that clay with oil. So yeah, this is oil paint, and then gouache, acrylic gouache next to it, so a bit of a contrasted medium. This is again oil paint. So yeah, just creating some sort of general shape. That's how a lot of this goes. That's the philosophy of random intentionality. So the intentionality with the painting is it fits within this context here. So, you know, once I've got a sense of what I want to do in an area, but yeah, it's far cry from the real kind of hardcore intentionality, if you would, portrait painter, where it becomes crucial to create the illusion of the figurine to follow a precise code of applying the pigment. Yeah, like what the issue is here is basically, you know, once I've got something, or if this was a figurine, the main primary core, and it had a human sense, then it embellish it with a particular context. Like this was just a random figurine. The hidden hand, or the invisible hand of time, which I think creates the artwork. That's what I'm aiming at. So within the life of a human artist, you can have these features that actually carry the work in a different way. And one of them is this whole notion of, you know, the temporal shift. concepts of awareness. And how do you capture awareness? Like apart from it being a concept, is through these contemporary elements like fiberglass, materials that have been constructed through modernity. Interacting with the environment can give a sense of how that reacts. So there's a sort of chemical reaction going on. Kind of ephemeral, impermanence. So this is like the Buddhist notion of impermanence emerging within the artwork. So rather than erasing the artwork through an act of intentional agency, like another way is to release them through interacting with the environment. So it's almost like your personal identity is forced onto there within a time frame like now. And how do I evaluate clock time from cultural time? The notion of time being past, present and future would be a clock time. Whereas the cultural time might be a block, like, a block being the civilization. So there's this sort of sense that when producing artwork, it's not to do with clock time.